The autumn sun hung gently over the city park that morning, casting golden streaks of light across the quiet playground as if the world itself didn't yet know something life-changing was about to happen. Single dad Ethan Walker had brought his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, for their usual Saturday picnic, hoping to distract himself from the constant weight of bills, repairs, and the never-ending struggle of making ends meet. He didn't expect that within minutes, a moment would unfold that would change the course of his life forever. It started with a faint sound, soft, trembling, almost swallowed by the breeze. A child's broken cry. That sound would pull Ethan into a story he never imagined he'd live. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of doing the right thing, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Ethan followed the tiny sobs until he found a little girl standing alone near the swings. Her blonde hair glowed in the daylight, but her face was streaked with tears. She seemed no older than 5. Clutching a stuffed rabbit with one hand and wiping her cheeks with the other, she looked utterly lost. Ethan felt an ache in his chest. He had seen that expression before, the helpless fear of a child who needed someone, anyone, to care. He knelt down gently, trying to calm her without scaring her further. The girl flinched at first but then looked into his eyes with a timid hope, as if she desperately wanted to trust him. Lily walked up behind her father, holding his jacket. She whispered to him that they should help the girl, because no kid deserved to be alone like that. Her empathy reminded Ethan why he tried so hard every day, even when life felt like too much. The lost child, who finally managed to say her name was Emma, told them she couldn't find her mother anywhere. She had wandered off while her mom was on a phone call, and the crowd had swallowed her up. Ethan felt a protective instinct rise in him. He remembered losing Lily once in a grocery store for 30 terrifying seconds. This girl must have felt that fear multiplied by 1,000. The sun climbed higher, warming the pavement as Ethan made calls to security and searched the park with Emma holding his hand so tightly it felt like she was holding onto life itself. They walked past cheerful families, food carts, and bright decorations for an upcoming festival. The whole world looked ordinary, almost joyful, yet for Emma, the day had turned into a storm. Ethan didn't rest until he checked every corner, every bench, every path. And with each passing minute, he felt the weight of responsibility deepen, not because he had to help, but because he wanted to. Hours passed. Ethan kept Emma safe, fed her snacks from Lily's lunchbox, and told her she wasn't alone. His calm presence soothed her trembling heart. Watching him, Lily asked if they could take Emma home if they couldn't find her mother. Ethan smiled softly but didn't answer. He knew life was never that simple, not with his finances, not with his unstable job hours, not with everything he struggled to hold together. But his heart, tender and worn from years of single fatherhood, wished he could protect every child who felt abandoned by the world. They had nearly completed a full circle around the park when everything changed. A sleek black SUV screeched to a halt near the entrance. The door swung open, and a woman stumbled out, her face drenched with panic, her expensive heels clicking desperately against the pavement. Her business-style white coat flared behind her as she sprinted toward them. When she saw Emma, her entire expression collapsed into raw relief. She dropped to her knees and engulfed her daughter in her arms, crying openly, uncaring of the people around her or the makeup running down her cheeks. That emotional reunion should have been the end of the story, but what happened next stunned Ethan. The woman stood up slowly and looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief, as though she was trying to process more than just the return of her child. She apologized repeatedly, her voice shaking, and explained that she had searched everywhere, contacted park authorities, and was moments away from calling the police when someone said a man matching Ethan's description had been seen helping a little girl. She thanked him, but her thanks carried something deeper, something heavy, personal. The daylight reflected in her eyes, revealing a tiredness beyond motherhood. She introduced herself as Victoria Hale, a name Ethan recognized instantly. She was the owner of Hale Industries, one of the wealthiest women in the state. Her face was familiar from magazine covers, charity events splashed across the news, and conversations people like Ethan only overheard but never engaged in. He froze, unsure how to act around someone of her status. But Victoria surprised him by kneeling down again, touching Emma's cheek, and saying she owed him more than words could express. Victoria asked Ethan how she could repay him. He shook his head, saying no repayment was necessary, that he only did what any decent parent would do. She stared at him for a long moment, her eyes flicking gently toward Lily, then back at him. It was as if she was seeing something she hadn't encountered in a very long time, genuine goodness without expectation. She insisted he at least accept her business card, though he doubted he'd ever use it. But the shock didn't end there. Later that week, when Ethan returned to work at the auto repair shop, he found a luxury car parked outside bearing a familiar signature logo. Victoria stepped out, dressed far more casually this time, her expression warm and sincere. She told him she hadn't stopped thinking about the men who protected her daughter with the kind of devotion most people reserved only for their own children. She explained how rare it was to meet someone who did good without cameras, without rewards, without needing to look heroic. Then she did something Ethan never expected from a billionaire. She asked about his life. Not in the distant, polite way wealthy people sometimes did, but earnestly, wanting to understand. And when she learned he was struggling, that he worked 2 jobs, that he barely kept up with rent but still chose kindness above convenience, something shifted in her. In that bright morning sunlight outside the repair shop, Victoria made him an offer, not a handout, but an opportunity. A position in her company's community outreach division, a stable salary, benefits, flexibility for Lily, and a chance to help more families like he helped Emma. Ethan was speechless. His entire world tilted in a single moment. Not because a billionaire offered him a job, but because someone finally saw his worth, the worth he'd tried to uphold every day, even when life pushed him to the edge. As Ethan accepted, tears welled in Victoria's eyes. She admitted that in her world of boardrooms, contracts, and financial empires, she had slowly forgotten what genuine humanity looked like, until she saw it in a single dad who refused to walk past a crying girl in a park. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and support Kindness Thread. Your engagement helps us continue bringing real, emotional stories to life. Before you go, drop a comment below telling us what you learned from this story.